After making my video on Paul Dano's Riddler a few weeks back about how I think the character has the potential to be a great villain in this new Batman film, I wanted to tackle some of the other characters that are central to Matt Reeves' story. In particular, Zoë Kravitz Catwoman is one that has changed my opinion over time, one that in the initial footage looked great, but I didn't have as much motivation for why she would be linked to this story. Then we started seeing more, and Kravitz recently came out herself and spoke about the central arc of her character, and now I must say, I'm totally looking forward to seeing what she does with the role. In this video essay, I'm going to be giving you my thoughts on how Catwoman can be redefined for the modern day Batman film, alongside what storylines I can see them adapting based on what we've seen so far. Before I get into it though, if you want to see much more videos on the Batman leading up to its release date, alongside the continuation of my Road to the Batman series, then don't forget to support this video by giving it a like rating, subscribing to the channel, and turning on your notifications. Also, feel free to check me out on Twitter, Facebook, Reddit, and Instagram at Cortex Videos, which is all linked in the description below. But without further ado, let's discuss the potential of Zoë Kravitz Catwoman in the Batman. So while the Batman is set to give us a very different version of the Dark Knight and a new iteration of the Zodiac-inspired Riddler, director Matt Reeves has also set up the potential for a redefining of Catwoman for the modern day. The last few trailers have changed my mind on the character, because aside from the stunning visuals, cinematography, and action sequences that involve Catwoman, what they are putting on display is her growing chemistry with Pattinson's Batman himself. Through this, it seems there's finally a true arc between Batman and Catwoman to play out, with a lot of famous storylines that the film could be inspired by. As a character, Catwoman has been around for nearly as long as Batman, making her debut in DC Comics back in the 40s, and throughout her 80 years, Selina Kyle has had many iterations. But her big screen appearances seem to have all pulled from the notable aspects of the character. She's presented as a seductive cat burglar who comes in contact with Batman, shakes things up, and then leaves the narrative with the essence of mystery. Now, it's key to note that I've really liked the previous adaptations, whether it's Michelle Pfeiffer's slightly insane cat fueled by revenge, or Anne Hathaway's smug burglar wanting class warfare but ultimately a way out. But at the same time, I do think that there's room to take this character in new directions and really build up her story over multiple films. It's a way Reeves can really have the audience connect more to this character and understand her fueled revenge to a greater degree. And with this new film taking a year one approach on most of its main players, this seems to be exactly what Reeves is aiming for. Along with the costume design, Kravitz was able to design just the look that would show off this early stage Catwoman. The suit is a gothic black skin-tight leather outfit, along with the expected face mask to conceal her identity. Then there's Selina Kyle's razor-sharp claws, which Kravitz had suggested to Reeves herself, fitted within her suit and used to defend herself against enemies, as well as to grip onto hard surfaces. So from a visual and design perspective, we've already got a familiar yet different Catwoman on the big screen, one that is starting out with a homemade suit that can be built upon just as her character grows and is explored more deeply. But this is where we now come to what her character's story will actually involve and how this could be used as an opportunity for Catwoman to be redefined. The most obvious story inspiration that is being linked to the Batman is the comic Batman Year One, which sees Bruce Wayne in his first year as the Caped Crusader. With Selina Kyle forming her own origins as Catwoman too, Zoë Kravitz has also revealed previously that she read this comic to prepare for her role. Of course, there are many different backstories for her character, but in year one, Selina Kyle is a sex worker and a thief who becomes inspired by the Caped Crusader to become a vigilante once meeting him and seeing him take down criminals. In the footage we've seen so far, Selina Kyle wears different wigs in what looks to be a club, potentially hinting at this profession or another within this setting that fuels her character and whatever corruption she views or has experienced. And Zoë Kravitz herself said something that hints at this storyline in a recent interview with Total Film. She said, "Selina's not Catwoman yet. She's a girl who works at a bar, and so we get to meet her at a major crossroads where we see the glimpses of Catwoman, but she's not quite there yet." So this could be the story that we see in year one, but if I had to guess, it's most likely a heavy inspiration at the very least. And then there's also the other inspiration behind this film through the Long Halloween storyline. Now, without giving away a potential spoiler, if this storyline does carry through into the Batman film, The Long Halloween reveals a deeper connection between Selina Kyle and Falcone, one that leads to Selina becoming vengeful of the family itself. And with there being so much footage of Falcone and Catwoman together on set and in promo material, alongside Falcone being a central suspect of interrogation by Batman, I'm starting to think that this would be a great way that Reeves might connect the Bat and the Cat. If you know of this story from the comics, you may also know that it could be used as a good parallel between Bruce and Selina when it comes to lineage in wealth. But whether these storylines do link heavily into the plot, I think it is possible that the film will explore and make us connect to Catwoman through at least some of the inspired story beats, giving us the opportunity to see a Catwoman we've never seen before. Her Long Halloween storyline is one of the most interesting backstories that would also weave into the politics of Gotham that Paul Dano's Riddler is trying to exploit, also delivering on the motivation of all of these central characters by using a focused narrative. We seem to be getting a story that does link all of these characters, so I wouldn't be surprised if they take a route that is similar. One thing, however, that we are going to get into, and all the trailers and footage have promised us, is the relationship between Bruce and Selina. Zoë Kravitz also said in her Total Film interview that we get to see Batman and Selina for the very first time, and that they are both on the hunt for something. She says, "It's a really interesting dance. You really can't tell if they like being around each other, if they can't get away from each other, or if they're using each other." When Selina comes into his life, it just throws a wrench into that worldview because he basically only sees people as good or bad. They can't be both. Of course, in the comics, she's sometimes an ally and sometimes an antagonist. Her history with Batman is as layered as it is intense, and there's plenty of room to explore this in a way that is faithful to the comics, yet adaptable for the unique story Reeves is telling. And with Catwoman always having the room to be developed, the audience could get to know her as more than just a cat burglar, a character that is part criminal, part hero, part femme fatale, and so much more. We are going to get more than just the romance between Bruce and Selina, and both of their characters open up the opportunity to put all of their complexity on display in interesting fashion. These storylines will most likely play out over time, but it sets in motion all the parts to forge the perfect ending to Robert Pattinson and Zoë Kravitz arc, should the Batman live up to expectations first. Overall, there's a potential for a new Catwoman to be redefined on the big screen, a journey that can last multiple movies and make us feel emotionally connected to her through the things she has experienced. And when it comes to Zoë Kravitz as an actress, it's easy to undervalue her as a performer going into this, because in each of the movies or shows she starred in, whether it's X-Men First Class, Mad Max Fury Road, the Divergence films, Fantastic Beasts or Big Little Lies, she was either given a small amount of screen time or played a character that was underwritten. We haven't seen what Kravitz can do when she plays a pivotal part, but the Batman could change that. And keep in mind that Zoë Kravitz reportedly beat out a number of actresses to take on the role of Selina Kyle, and most of what we have seen looks pretty great within the context of this kind of Batman film. She said in interviews that she wanted to collaborate more with the filmmaker, and according to her, she loved working with Matt because that's the process she was able to have. Whether it's in designing the costume as we mentioned before, or building the subtle emotions that link into the motivation of her character, she's putting her passion into it as much as the director is. She's trying to capture that year one Catwoman that can be explored and be taken in new directions. And whether you've liked the different iterations of Catwoman over the years, we know that each actress has tried to give the character their own spin, attempting to bring out the different sides of Catwoman's personality. Zoë Kravitz is going to have to put those interpretations to the side and give us something that is truly hers, one that is also collaborated on by the people working on the film. She has the opportunity to build a niche for herself where we can remember her performance for something that only she can deliver. I think she can do it and surprise us based on what the character's arc could be inspired by and what we've seen of that. But time will tell if the character of Catwoman will be done justice, and Zoë Kravitz can redefine her for the big screen today. But they were my thoughts on how Catwoman can be redefined in Matt Reeves' The Batman. I've personally enjoyed most of the previous adaptations of Catwoman on screen, especially in that of Michelle Pfeiffer and Anne Hathaway. But while I enjoy them, I do think Catwoman can be explored deeper for the modern age, yet done in a way that also adapts her character from the comics in the perfect way. I wasn't fully sold on the character until the recent trailers, and the interviews by Zoë Kravitz have further made me excited for her portrayal. Especially now that we know her character will be heavily linked into the plot of corruption in Gotham, and that this will only strengthen her bond with Bruce, even if they are tense to begin with. We'll have to see, but I think Zoë Kravitz has the potential to surprise a lot of people with her take on Catwoman, and there is still plenty of room for a version of the character to become a staple today. But I'm intrigued to hear what you guys think towards the potential of Catwoman in Matt Reeves' Batman film, alongside what you think her main importance will be within the central story. So let me know down below in the comment section. For more videos surrounding the Batman leading up to its release this March, then subscribe to the channel and turn on your notifications. Also, if you enjoyed this video, remember to leave a like rating and follow me on social media via the links in the description. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed it. I've been Cortex, and as always, make some noise.